Hello dear remote viewing friends. Today I will be showing you an intermediate level CRV target that I really enjoyed doing. As usual, I'll show you some target pictures and then we'll go through the session together. The target is the Silver Star Rollercoaster in the Europa Park theme park in Germany. It's apparently one of the highest rollercoasters in Europe. I originally did this session in French, so I translated it into English for you guys. If you check my blog post for this session on my website, you will be able to download both the original and translated session in full if you wish to check the French one. Okay, let's start the session review. As usual, I go through the administrative part with my name, date, location, and personal inclemencies. I then proceed to advanced visuals to get rid of ideas or predefined concept before I start the session. Here I had some round and cloudy shapes in mind and noted air balloon, mountain, clouds, and forest. My phase 1 starts with a decoded ideogram that provides me with the natural and artificial gestalts. I take the coordinates again and decode my ideogram as artificial, natural and active. This is my equivalent to motion energy that you often see in other remote viewers sessions. What do we know so far? The target seems to have some natural and artificial parts and seems to be active, meaning that there seems to be quite some motion happening at the target. Let's go with our second phase. I directly sketch a triangular shape and perceive some pointy, multiform, a star shape, smooth, white, yellow and get an AOL of a star. I then perceive some rectangular shapes one after the other and declare that I find this intriguing. My perceptions then are of multiple pieces, rough, smooth. It seems to be pleasant to the touch. It's mineral, stony. I sense a woman's perfume and a contrasting concrete tar taste. I do small sketch and perceive fast wind sounds and vibrations. This gives me an AOL of a kart race. I then probe for some colors and get orange, white, yellow, red and black. I continue my phase 2 and do a small sketch and the following perceptions are squarish, rectangular, pathway. This leads me to declare an AOL of a route or a path. I get colors again with orange, white, black and red. I then get a smell of rubber which directly triggers an AOL of a tire. I get an opinion that it's loud and note this on the left along with the triggered emotion. The target is confusing me. I then perceive a crowd and spectators. There are not descriptors and don't feel like AOLs, so I declare them as P4 to explore them later on in my fourth phase. I continue with my perceptions and get movement, unidirectional, engine sounds and wind sounds. I sense that it goes fast, very fast. I declare this as my major AI along with the amused emotion I get. Now that a major AI has happened, I can go to phase 3 and start doing some drawings. My first probe is the optimal view from the top. I'm not super happy with this, so I probe it again but from higher and do a new sketch. I probe this sketch and perceive some vegetal, green and brown on the sides. A solid, white and stony structure in the middle and a continuous unidirectional movement in the shape of an 8. I then proceed to a front view. It seems to be a pathway of some sort and annotates my probe perceptions. I also get an AOL of a circuit. My next query is to probe for a distinctive element of the target. This is the sketch that comes out and seems to be a metallic, angular structure sitting on some small rounded things. I try to not think of a car and proceed to probe the inside of this structure. I see nothing but black, so it seems to be solid, and I also put lead as some particular type of metal because it's heavy. Finally, I do a last phase 3 probe of the outside of the target and get again a similar sketch that looks like some sort of vehicle. I note my probe perceptions of red, white, metallic and declare my AOL of a tractor. It's time to make an intermediary summary with all the data we have accumulated so far. This summary goes as follows. The target's nature seems to be natural, artificial and active. It seems like there are elements of pointy, angular, smooth, rough, with multiple pieces making the whole of the target. There is mineral, vegetal, stony, concrete, metallic as well as rubber. There is a feeling of speed and of unidirectional movement. It seems to follow a predetermined path. In terms of colors, white, orange, yellow, red and black are very present. In addition to the movement of speed, it seems like there is a crowd, P4, or spectators, P4. The aperture is widening and it's time to start our phase 4. In this phase I will first probe the movements and the P for declared before. For the viewers who use CRV as their methodology, the original methodology is a bit tweaked here in regard to phase 4. I use a simplified approach to the matrix, and instead of having a big matrix on all the pages, I divide my page into 3 invisible columns. On the left column, I classify my AI and EI that also include my opinions, judgments and additional notes. In the middle I classify everything that I perceive as intuition, same as in other phases. In theory I should add to my data if it's intangible, tangible, a sensory descriptor or a dimensional descriptor, but I find this to be self-explanatory and I'm not respecting this part too much. Finally, on the right columns, I declare my AOLs on signal line, and declare the AI and EI that I perceive as being from the people at the target and not coming from me. Okay, now that you understand what I'm doing, let's go through my phase 4. I start by querying the speed and perceive that it is unidirectional, fast, and I get wind sounds. I have an AOL of a fast car speeding. I then query the general movement at the target and perceive that it is forward, pushed and straight, which gives me an AOL of a rocket. It's also perceived as metallic and power. I then decide to take a break and start my session back 2 days later. To establish good contact with the target again, I proceed to making a quick ideogram and A/B process again. Now that I'm back in, I query one of the P for S I had perceived earlier in the session, crowd. I get multiple, animated and singing, which triggers an AOL of a sporting event. It's black, animated. I find it impressive and content to perceive some shouting. The people at the target seem to be motivated and excited. I then query singing and get shouting, harmony, continuous, vibrations. I continue forward and ask how is the activity. What I get back is moving, rolling, triggering an AOL of a football game. The activity is set with predetermined timing and a victory desire. I write an AOL on signal line of an event with spectators. I then try to go a bit deeper and play a bit with time. I query to perceive how it is at the beginning of the activity and perceive calm, music, chants and anticipation. I get an AOL of football and the Soccer World Cup of 1998, where the theme song in France was the song I Will Survive. It seems like the subconscious has an evident sense of humor. I then proceed to draw a sketch of a semi-open space with vertical and metallic structures, rounded on the sides, flat on the bottom and with an empty space in the middle. I then query how it is at the end of the activity and get explosion, excitation, excitement, fascination and envy. I do a short break and come back to perceive agitation, tensions and synchronized movements. I'm getting tired and decide to call it a day and write my final summary, which references the intermediate summary from before and adds on top of this the following. It seems like there are people or a crowd and that they are chanting and shouting, causing vibrations and a certain harmony. There seems to be a unidirectional movement that is fast with speed. It goes forward, it is pushed, rolling and straight. There is excitement in the air and a power is released from something metallic. Finally, it seems like the activity is taking place in a semi-open space, rounded on the edges and empty in its center, reminding me of a sports stadium. There we go, this is the end of the session. I really loved this session and I'm of the opinion that it was a very, very good session. Almost everything is correct and fits. This one felt pretty good and I'm proud of my work. I hope you enjoyed this session. Feel free to comment and like, and as usual, do subscribe if you want to get notified of my next videos. Thanks for watching.